I are out on a little practice hike here at the Morton Arboretum, and we came past this little pond which we've gone by before, and Mrs. Data pointed out that there are a bunch of turtles. And by a bunch I mean I can count 8 or 9 or 10 of them. Like on every log sticking up here there is a turtle. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on these fellas. Yeah, so there's a couple, and there's a couple on this one. There's 3 of them together on that one. And then there are 3 more over here. And basically everywhere there's a little log that's sticking up.
Yeah, there must be like 50 of these things.
Yeah.
There's a duck.
Oh, and yeah, a little mallard just landed. And there's her buddy. And you can hear the crickets and the bullfrogs as we go. So, anyway, I'm going to get on with our walk here.
Okay.
So I'm T-minus 4 or 5 days here from my next Appalachian Trail hike with late start. And Mrs. Data and I are out on a hike today at the Morton Arboretum. We're going to go, I don't know, probably between 3 and 6 miles, depending on what we feel like. And Mrs. Data is modeling her new weighted vest, which she bought. It's the same one I have, except she got hers in purple instead of black. So
I think I got a smaller size.
Oh, that's right. She got a smaller size too. And she's got 12 pounds in hers, and I've got 15 in mine. And it's a Monday afternoon, and it's, I don't know, in the 60s now it feels like, and it's supposed to get up to the 70s. So we've come probably 1.5 miles already. And even though it's a Monday afternoon, there are people out everywhere. So I thought on the course of this walk I would also shoot my little summary video from my last Appalachian Trail hike. So I came off trail a couple of weeks ago, having hiked the 2 sections in Virginia and Central Virginia that I had not yet hiked. So I went 74 or so miles from Big Stony Creek Road up to Daleville, where I spent the night at my friend Late Start and his wife's. And then I went up to Long Mountain Wayside and hiked from there up to Rockfish Gap. So that was 54 miles or so. In total I hiked, I think, 124 miles. Puts my Appalachian Trail hiking mileage at 687 miles total. That's about 30% of the trail hiked at this point. And it means I've hiked everything from Springer Mountain to the north side of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park there at Green Corner Road. And I've hiked everything from the Kimberly Creek Bridge north to the Pogo Memorial Campsite just short of the Mason-Dixon line. Heading back to trail here in 5 days or so to meet up with Late Start and start hiking north from the Pogo Memorial Campsite, 100 miles or so, up to Duncannon, Pennsylvania. So I thought I would review a little bit about how the last hike went. I don't even know if I've told Mrs. Data all of this, so I'll start with the weather. The weather was really variable, and normally you'd think that'd be irritating to a hiker, but this time around it was all right. I had micro spikes and a beanie for the cold weather, and an umbrella and a raincoat for the wet weather, and good gloves. And all of that seemed to mean when it rained and snowed and stuff I was okay, and I could delayer when it wasn't doing stuff like that. So the weather conditions actually made the whole hike a little bit more interesting, actually. And it even warmed up on a couple of days. And so then I actually got hot and sweated a little bit and had to delayer. So the weather made the trip more interesting, I thought. And the new cold weather gear, from the micro spikes to the merino wool buff to the 0 degree enlightened equipment quilt, all of that meant that even the cold weather wasn't all that bad. I think next year or this fall, I might try to hike in some even colder conditions. One advantage to hiking when it was really cold was that I had the trail all to myself. So I like hiking with other people sometimes, especially if I know them, but it was really nice a couple of times to go a day or two without seeing no one or almost no one. Being really out in the wilderness, getting to think and all that. Enjoy the solitude. So that was nice. I did meet people the whole way. I met some passed through hikers and some folks finishing up through hikes. Mantis and Mushroom, Bubble Wrap and Meta. Late Start joined me for one section of it. So I had just enough company. I could have maybe had a little bit more, which I will have this next week when I'm hiking with Late Start, but still, it was enough. So, a quick note on trail conditions. The trail conditions were pretty good. I was hiking very early in the season. This was the end of February, early March. And I did come across a couple of big blowdowns, especially near Rockfish Gap. But by and large, the trail was in pretty good condition, considering it was really early in the year. And trail crews had already been out clearly working on things. So. And I think since it was early, the shelters were all in good shape. No, there wasn't any large amount of litter or stuff left behind, so they were in pretty good shape too. So I ended up staying in shelters, probably 4 or 5, I think, of the different nights on trail, and I stayed in my tent about the same number. I pulled the 0 at Huckleberry's Hostel. Huckleberry's Hostel was a very nice stay. I highly recommend that place. And Mr. and Mrs. Late Start hosted me for a night, so always good to have friends who are trail angels on trail. That was nice. All in all, I still really enjoy the nights in my tent more than the other nights, but given the weather conditions or the terrain, sometimes that's not really a possibility, or not, at least not the optimal choice. So I'm getting used to going back and forth. It's easier to stay in the shelter when I'm the only person there. So yeah, I already talked a little bit about my next hike, and so I'm going to try to build on that 687 miles I already hiked on the Appalachian Trail, starting about 5 days from now. So by the time y'all see this video, I'll probably be coming off trail from that other hike, and you'll start seeing some of the clips from it. So hope your days are going as well as mine is. And from Morton Arboretum, this is Data saying happy trails to each of you.